This is Brother Cliff again with another question and answer time. Glad you're with us today. We have a question here that asks, will Christians have to go through the Great Tribulation? And that's a real good question, and every Christian ought to know. I believe they ought to know the answer, because the answer depends on how we believe what the Word of God says about that time of tribulation. We know that the Bible teaches us that when the rapture takes place, and Paul tells us in Thessalonians 4 verses 13 and following about the rapture. When that rapture takes place, immediately afterwards the tribulation time will begin here on earth, when God takes his Christians or his children out of this world. In Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10, Jesus said this. Jesus said, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Now he's talking to the church at Philadelphia, the church of love. He says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Now, maybe I should have started with this thought, but I call myself a pre-millennialist, meaning that I believe the rapture is going to take place, like I just said. The tribulation is going to come afterwards, 7 years of great tribulation upon this earth. And immediately after that 7 years, 1,000 years, Christ will reign upon this earth, called a millennial reign. Now, that's me, I'm a pre-person. There's also the idea of the post. The post person is that the Christian will go through the tribulation, and then the kingdom will be set up afterwards, and that's their view. Some people teach that we'll go through halfway through it, 3.5 years, and this, that, and other. Like I say, there's many views. There's even one more that's called the all-mineralists, and the all-mineralists believe that it's just going to come down, and we're going to live up to the point that Christ comes back and sets up his kingdom upon the earth, that the tribulation is kind of what we're going through today, so to speak. And then one day Jesus will come back and set up his kingdom. But I'm a pre-man, which believes that we won't go. And the reason I believe that is the progression of the book of Revelation. If you will look in Revelation, in chapters 2 and 3, there's a message to the 7 churches. And then immediately after the message to the 7 churches, in chapter 4, John said, I looked, and behold, I saw a door open in heaven. Okay? And many believe, and I myself do personally believe, that after the message to the churches that the rapture takes place. John said he saw the door open and he heard a voice say, come up hither. And that word rapture means that we are called up. Okay? We're called up together. So that's one place. But then I'm going over here to 2 Peter, and I want to read one verse here because it will also help us understand. In 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9, chapter 2 and verse 9, the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Okay? So Peter gives us an idea that, yeah, the godly people, Christians, are going to be delivered from the temptation, but those who are not Christians are going to be have to go through that day of judgment, or the wrath of God, or the tribulation period. Okay. Again, I got to just point you to chapter 4 and the following. The progression of the book of Revelation is immediately after chapter 4. He sees the throne. He sees the Lamb take the book, that seal with 7 seals, and the breaking of the seals. And the idea is that through chapter 13, we see the picture of God's wrath being poured out through what we call the Great Tribulation. And then after that, the Christ come back in the millennial reign, okay? I hope that helps you. I personally do not believe that we're going through it. I believe that he's going to call us home before, okay? That's my point. All right? Thank you very much.